choice.
And that's the secret of the universe. Hopefully I'll remember to mention it later on in the meeting. So for those of you that just joined the recording, if I don't get to it, reach out. Teresa. I'm all festive today because we went to a leadership conference. So I could try to have some leadership. And with 2 minis to go and stuff. Hello, Lenora. Good evening.
Hi, guys. How's everybody doing? We're a lively bunch today.
Thanks. Have you seen this tie before?
I have not. It's very
Here,
nice.
let me get a little poo on your screen there. Okay,
Nice
you can all
one.
wipe that off now. I need help. One of the speakers at the conference was talking about including humor in your leadership skills. And Tina looks at me and she's like, you're good, babe. Because she's got to put up with me all the time. Okay. Zabadoo. Get this set up. How is everybody else doing? That good. Cool.
I'll be popping in and out. I'm boiling maple syrup here in Pennsylvania. It's maple syrup time.
What?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, you want to share with everybody how many gallons of
it's Northeast PA, Lennoxville, about 20 minutes north of Scranton.
You want to share?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Don't mind me. I'll talk. I live over in Bloomsburg, so I went to school in Scranton, but in Scranton they have the best pizza in Basilicos. Have you ever been?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh God, it's so worth the drive. Literally, it's like an hour and a half from me, and worth the drive every single time.
Oh wow,
that's awesome that you're doing maple syrup.
Yep. So yeah, you'll see me pop in and out. I just don't want to burn down my garage. So
good call.
Yeah.
And for those of you just tuning in, welcome to Triple T. Let's try to get this recording going up here. And this is what we call technical challenges, learning opportunities.
Oh, you have no idea. Technical challenges live in this house.
All right.
And you know it.
All right. So thanks everybody for tuning in for Triple T number 8 on Tuesday. And man, I've got about this much content, about that much time, and there's got to be at least a 1,000 squirrels lined up to run across the road, and I'm going to grab as many as I can. For those of you, if this is your first time tuning in, or you've binge watched from number 1 and now you're on 8 and you're trying to figure out what and how and all the above and why I've got all these papers back here, it was pointed out to me that I have not introduced myself really on any of these because you all pretty much already know me. Anyhow, my name is TJ Zebel. I call myself a professional problem solver. I've got a varied background, varied, and I just like helping people, period. And whatever I can help you with and fix and reframe and all the above. I've been doing it pretty much since I was a kid, looking back. Grew up in a thriving metropolis in central farmland, Minnesota, a population of 187 people. We had more cattle than people in the area. How I ended up traveling the world and having fun and bouncing all over and going through 28 different professions to wind up here is pretty much summed up in something my mother told me, ironically, about 8 years ago when I told her that I was looking at getting into being a clinical hypnotist. And she's like, oh, okay. I'm like, Mom, that's like number 28 for me. She goes, honey, your life has never been a straight line. Bing, ding, ding, pong, ding, pong, ding, pooh, choo. And I realized that even back then, I had embraced the concept of, well, I was looking for a job when I got this one. I'm not afraid to try new things. And with all the traveling I did and my appetite, like literally for food and being a foodie, the idea of going hungry is a very hard driver for me. So if I saw a help wanted sign, I went in and sold them on the idea that I could do it, knowing that I could learn it quickly. And if they were like, well, do you have any experience? And I'm like, well, it's been a while. If you could just kind of refresh me on the way you would like things done, I can do it. There were a few times that didn't work out quite as well as I'd hoped for, but there were plenty of times where it did. And that was one squirrel that I didn't see coming, but I'm glad you were along for the ride. Let's get on to the subject that I posted on one of the social media that I'm getting upset with and probably won't be promoting much anymore. And that is in the lineup of business cards, names, and all the fun stuff that goes with it. And there's only 3,000 different ways to look at business cards. I've heard a good majority of them. And in that light, I've kind of handpicked, gathered up what I thought was the most useful for me. If you've got something or you had another training that you love and adore and it makes sense to you, then go with it. Hopefully you'll get something out of this. But one of the things, because I have a photography background, and some of the psychology that I heard from it that really struck me is making sure that your business cards have a photo of yourself on the card. And a couple of reasons. One, it helps personalize the card. People will look at the card and how many of you have gotten a card, you brought it home, and you're like, I don't even remember where I got this, and it gets right to file 13, trash can, adios. But even if you didn't meet the person, you pulled it out and you don't remember where you got the card, but it's got a good picture of a human on it. People will tend to hang on to business cards that have a picture of a human on it 10 times longer than they will of just a blank card. The other thing that really got to me was, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, is just a quick little, I call it specifically vague description of what you do. And on my card, I've got two of them. And one is kind of my tagline, professional solutions for success seekers. Only took me about 2 weeks to boil that one down. And under my name, I have solutions purveyor. I use them as discussionary starters, because if you guys know me at all, so what do you do? Can I just give you a list of what I don't do? I mean, or here's my Rolodex. Go ahead and just reach in and pull out a card, whatever fits. The other thing, spend a little extra money, get the better card stock. Remember back in the day when you could print them out on your home printer? People would hand them to you and you would grab it and you'd go, oh, you made this yourself. Isn't that cute? How long did you hang on to that one? The other part that I wish I could have come up with this on my own, but I overheard somebody say it. The number of people that waste the real estate on the backside of a card is sad. For what they charge these days to put some print on the backside of a card, and you don't do it? Really? Really? So you bought half a card, but you paid for the whole card. Oh, Bonnie had you had a question or something?
Yes, I did. Who do you get your cards printed from? Vistaprint, Vistaprint is the one that seems to be out there, but I was just curious where you get yours printed.
This card, not sponsored by Vistaprint, but brought to you by. Maybe if I say that enough, they'll sponsor me. Yeah, I just went online, and if you nowadays the software that they have compared to back in the day, it is so easy to whip up cards. I've told people, even if you don't have a business, you should have a card. Even if all it has on it is your name and your contact info. They're like, oh yeah, but I just, I've got this thing, I've got this app. You just need the app. You scan it, it goes right in. And I'm like, good. So I've added a contact into the 4,000 names and stuff on my phone. And I'm going to try and find it somewhere down the line. Yes, I don't carry all of these with, but I do have a place where I collect them, and every now and then I sort through them. And I'm like, oh yeah. And they get filed into certain piles, and the ones without pictures and nothing relative, we're getting there. The other part is have the front done in a nice glossy finish. Again, so you have some sustenance to them. But the backside have done in matte or plain cardboard. Anybody know why? Bueller? I saw one, yes. So that you can write on them. Take notes. A lot of times when people hand me a card, if I don't have a pen or something, as soon as I get home, I'm writing notes on the back side so I can remember, where the heck did I meet them? So that's another one. And leave some space on there for the notes so that they're not writing all over them. It's funny, my classmates will tell you that I've been saying paradise is not a location, it's a mindset for ages. And all of a sudden I saw it on a billboard and I'm like, but you didn't put my name up there. Just kidding. I don't need the credit for all that, but if there's money, I could use a royalty check every now and then. And for those of you that have businesses, doesn't hurt to have free free consultation or free quotes or something like that. There's a good majority of the people out there who like free stuff. I know, shocking. Any questions so far, inputs, ahas, or things that you would like to add? All right, going on. Now the next one, there's lots of different ways to go about this and that and the other. So again, take it with the grain of salt or whatever, but it really impacted me in picking a name for your business. I wish I could give credit to the person I heard it from, but it was quite a while ago. And they said, make sure that it's generic. It's much easier to sell XYZ Bakery than it is to sell Jeff's Bakery or Olson Bakery, because then you got to wait for Jeff or Mrs. Olson to want to buy your bakery. Or in a certain instances, like the town close to us, the next big town by where we grew up, there was Braun's Bakery, and then they sold it, but they were so successful and profitable, they'd been there so long that the next owners just kept the name until enough people were coming in and going, you're not a Braun. Oh no, we bought the bakery. Doesn't say that out there. Where are the Brauns? Oh, they've moved. Who are you? So they ended up finally changing the name, but with the thought process behind why I picked mine, and you see on your screen, TSWB helps, is the person that was bringing this up said, find a 3 to 4 word acronym or whatever. Doesn't even have to make sense in the letters, but have 3 or 4 letter name and then a common word that's easily remembered. So mine, TSWB helps. And then they said, and try to make sure, if possible, that it has a story behind it. And if it's a funny story, even better. In fact, much better. So like mine, TSWB, is there anybody here that does not know what TSWB stands for? Tall, skinny, white boy. Tall, skinny, white boy. And the fun part about that is when I tell people, I always get a chuckle, or you'd be amazed at the amount of people like, no, really, what's it stand for? I'm like, tall, skinny, white boy. Yeah, it's just not makeup. Yeah. Truth in advertising. But the funny thing is about that, again, my name is TJ. My business is Tall Skinny White Boy. Enterprise is Tall Skinny White Boy Helps. And when I see people again later on, they may not remember my name, but they'll remember my business name even if they butcher it. Oh, you're the skinny the tall skinny guy thingy. I'm like, tall skinny white boy. Yeah, that's you. Yeah. What's your name again? And when we were living in San Diego, my favorite answer to help them remember was, my name is TJ, but it doesn't stand for Tijuana because I'm from Minnesota. I see the smiles. You'd be amazed at that anchor around there. And everybody would know my name. Of course, they would expect me to remember theirs, and I'm working on that. I've learned that the easiest way to have troubles remembering people's names is to say, I have trouble remembering names. That'll lock in that just like that. So we can talk about limiting beliefs and anchors at another point in time. Another friend of mine chose LDV Enterprises for hers, which stood for La Dolce Vita, the good life in Italian, because her father's side was Italian. That was her story. Had a nice little deal in it, and again, it was an easy way for people to remember it. Another thing about doing stuff like that is I was taught, have a parent company and then build your business names and your businesses underneath that, so that you're not pigeonholed into just this, especially when you've got learning ADD like me. Is like, oh, that looks cool. Oh, I figured that. Now I get bored. Oh, hey, I should try this. Yeah, I got that down. Now I'm bored. Bing, 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 bing. I've got TSWBCs, hears, talks, helps. All of those are different divisions for things that I do and things that I've done. TSWBCs is now my photography. Did I lock up? Yep, but I can tell. So back to, I've got TSWBCs, here's all of the above. TSWBCs, before I moved to California, I had a large photography studio in Minnesota, yeah. And I made the mistake of it was photography by Todd James. Oh, now you know what TJ stands for. Yeah, try selling that name. I wish I would have had it TSWBCs back then. I could have probably sold it, but I'm glad I didn't, because now I'm finally starting to get my passion back for doing photography. So I might dive back into that. But it also, when you build your business up successful enough to sell it, you have the option now to sell the business or the entire enterprise naming. So with me, with TSWB Enterprises, and then rolling down to TSWB, C's, here's, helps, all the above. Depending on which part gets the largest, I have options to work around. Any questions on that strategy or input or anything? Again, for those of you that are new, I'm not here to just be the talking head. I like to have, I like people to know that they are welcome to be part of this. Also, the second hour, I highly promote it. So we've gone over cards, names. Let's see what else. Would anybody like me to expound on any of those or have any questions? Okay, the other part I wanted to talk about is your description and how do you answer when people ask you, what do you do? And a couple of sessions ago, we talked about how people build their identity very strongly to their profession. So what do you do? I am a doctor. I am a truck driver. I am a, and one facet, one angle that I heard that I really enjoyed was, instead of having it an I am a answer, having it as a I do or I provide or something in that nature, where, you know, when people ask me, I just tell them I'm a professional problem solver. What that does, and it has proven itself to me many, many times, is it instant discussion starter. What do you do? I'm a professional problem solver. Oh, well, what's that mean? Now we've got a conversation starting in, and for those of you that are in hypnosis, you've probably noticed that if you tell people that you're a hypnotist, oh my God, are you hypnotizing me now? I already did. That's why we're having this discussion. You didn't even know it. I hypnotized you from across the room. That's why you walked over here. No. Hypnosis does not care what you call it. You can call it energy work. You can talk a guided meditation. You can call it a professional problem solver. It's getting that conversation started so that you can utilize the other things that we teach, things of that nature. The other thing I like about it is it doesn't teach your brain to be so narrow focused with your identity of what you do, because it allows you to describe what you do, not who you are. As such, and this is just a hypothesis on my own, I believe that it helps you from restrictive or limiting belief systems and dialogue. When you're trying to think of other ways to diversify with your talents, if your talent is something that you do, not your identity, it's much easier to take that talent into another field or another approach. Whereas, if I'm a dentist, and somebody goes, well, have you ever thought of doing, carvings or stuff like that? And the subconscious goes, whoa, we are not a carver. Until somebody goes, well, aren't you kind of like carving my tooth so that you can put some stuff in it? I mean, I could be wrong, but I heard that drill all the way down to my toenails. So yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a drill happening there. Power tools. Just take it to a bigger level. Or a friend of mine is a CPA or something like that. And she was thinking about moving, and she was so worried about, well, am I going to find a job? And I'm like, you work with numbers. You could work anywhere. Well, I don't know. She's like, yeah, but on another note, you should see some of the Excel spreadsheets that I made for fun. I'm like, if you're making Excel spreadsheets for fun, you are marketable global. It may not everybody that needs your talent may not be able to pay you what you are worth or the lifestyle that you deserve, but they need you. So even like Bob's Chicken Shack needs somebody that's good with an Excel spreadsheet. John's portable dog wash needs somebody that can set up an Excel spreadsheet for them. I'm pretty sure that if you can do your work online, there are people, you could find clients all over God's creation that could utilize your help. But you have to be able to stop limiting the thought process of how they're used and what the application is and where you're going to work and whether or not you're going to be considered or called an employee or have a status or IMA. On one of my earlier talks, I had mentioned that being an education addict, I'm just gonna hang it out there. Hi, my name is TJ. I'm a knowledge addict and I'm not looking to recover. I would happily, if I had the time and the resources, if somebody was offering underwater basket weaving and it was a good show and it was edutainment, yeah, sign me up. I'm all for it. And people would be like, why would you waste your time taking a 2-hour or a 4-hour class on underwater basket weaving? I'm like, have you ever watched a stupid show? Yeah, how'd that go for you? End of the movie, and you're like, I can't get that time back. Well, you could have taken a class for underwater basket weaving. Well, what the hell would I do with that? I don't know. There could be a day 10 years later where you're trying to build this, I don't know, cat enclosure. And you're like, hey, if I take these boards and I wet them for a while and I weave them like this, that would be a really strong wall for my cats to climb on. Where'd you get that idea? Well, I took this class back in the day. It was free for underwater basket weaving. You know everything. No, I just like to learn crazy stuff. Where do you think all my squirrels come from? They've been to school. So, man, people tuning in are just going to think, where does this guy goes? Yes, rewind the tape back to where my mom said, your life has never been a straight line. Bing, ding, bing, bing, bing. That's why I keep notes, to try and keep me. Another part of the descriptive is, can you describe what you do to a 5-year-old? Without having a 5-year-old go, okay, can I go play now? And in doing so, what a process that I've learned, and Dr. David Snyder is amazing at this. Especially when you got some time here and you try and tell them what kind of course you want to provide or what your business does, and he will boil it down and then take your answer, and then he'll make you boil that down, and then he'll make you boil that answer down, and then he'll make you boil that answer down until it's boiled down to a point where it's an easy single sentence that you can just look at anybody and just go, this is what I provide. And they'll go, oh. And then you can build back up. And ironically, if you write down all of those levels of boiling down, when the conversation comes up and you reverse it, it opens right up into everything that you do. Instead of being in a position where you have a possible client and they're like, so what do you do? And you're trying to give them the 15-minute descriptive of everything that you do, and they're glazed over, and a confused mind will shut down. Just like that. Okay, that's nice. Honey, what do they do? I don't know, some mumbo thingy, wave a watch or something. I don't remember. So when you're trying to work through these things, a lot of times it helps to, I like to say, work with two different people. One person that knows you really well, and one person that's willing to listen to you that doesn't know squat about you. It's what I like about going to networking events, like the leadership deal that we went to today, where you get a chance to meet people that may be like-minded, but they don't know you enough. And if you can get some of their time, request some of their time, and explain that you're doing this, they can help you boil that down. What else we got here? Any input on that? Ideas, ahas, epiphanies? Come out of trance. Fran, you got something?
Just wondered if you could talk more about, I like this idea of talking with people who know you really well and people who don't know you at all. Could you just expand on that bit a little bit, and how to really dig into the meat of what you can do with that?
Well, of course, the people that know you really well is that wonderful slippery slope where you have to make sure that they're not going to try and shoehorn you back into the box that they built for you. this is who you are. Wait a minute, what are you trying? You're trying something new? Oh my gosh, what if it doesn't work? You're crazy. You haven't done this before. See, you have to be strong enough to let them know that I just need your help to refine an idea down enough so that I can explain it easily to a 5-year-old. And take the time to do some homework beforehand of writing down a couple of different descriptives of either what it is that you do and provide, or what you would like to move into and provide. And how would you describe that? And then read it out loud. It's amazing how when you write stuff down and you read it and you let your subconscious read it for you, it fills in all these amazing gaps and things that aren't there because it knows what's supposed to be there. And then you go to read it yourself and you're like, oh, wait a minute. And all of a sudden now you're writing in the little words in between the spaces of the other words that you wrote because somehow that got eliminated, but you were still able to get through it. And then rehearse it a little bit and tell it to somebody that knows you well, that loves you well enough to tell you the truth. There was a little Instagram thing. Let's see if I don't remember if I didn't write it down. But it was, are you willing to be, what was it, truthful enough to yourself? Man, I wish I would have wrote that down. It was really good. Obviously, it hit me hard enough to make a dent, but not an impression. Or is it the other way around? I don't know. But again, know your outcome. If you're working on taking this full-size descriptive and condensing it down until it's a single short sentence that a 5-year-old would understand, keeping track of the levels as you boil it down, then knowing your crowd, knowing your outcome and your intentions, you can turn around and pick which level you want to use to do the descriptive of, or that can be your explanation ladder, be it will, to describe a little more in depth of what it is you do and what services you provide. And for some of you that have multiple backgrounds, you can write multiple ladders and even figure out how to interweave them. And I've got one client that was having troubles with his business, and he had 3 different businesses. And one of them was an online business that he promoted and did videos on YouTube for. And I asked him, how do you cross promote your businesses? He was like, what? I said, well, you've got a cooking channel and you've got a fishing show and a fishing supplies business. How do you promote the two? Cross promote the two? And it never occurred to him. I was like, man, if I were you, I'd be doing cooking demonstrations. about the fish that I caught using the equipment that I sell on this here website. And then on the one where I'm selling the lures and everything, I'm like, I'd be doing quick promotional videos going, and this week we're selling the jerry rig minnow catch. And if you go to my other channel, you'll see the fish that I caught and an amazing recipe that I cooked the fish up in. He was like, oh. And in 3 weeks, he had already seen traffic improve from the cross. But I also did the same with him. I was like, boil down what it is that you do so that you can do a quicker descriptive. I'm in the process of redoing mine because, to be honest with you, when I started the idea of Triple T, I wasn't sure if I would have enough material to keep talking for a while. Those that know me well are like, whatever, dude, yeah, whatever. Okay, so yes, I have a whole ranch full of squirrels and I'm just gonna let them loose. Thank you for showing up. Hope you can keep track of them. So, any questions on that? I've got 16 minutes left of my time before another little takeaway that I got is a simple message of don't focus on me, focus on the message. And it applies in here as well. What you provide, if you keep it on the message of what you can do for others more than promotion of your identity. Oh, somebody was, thank you. The quote, thank you, Lenora. That's right, I sent it to a few people. Are you willing to pay the price for your words to be valuable? And the idea behind it was, one guy was talking to I can think of his name too, anyhow, and said that he had met a guy from Europe who was kind of bluntly honest. Hey, do these pants look good on me? No, you're a little too fat for them. They were like, what? He goes, yes, but here's the other thing. When that guy gave you a compliment, you took it as a compliment because he was willing to be not offensively or attackingly honest. He was willing to be truthfully honest. And because of that, when he also gave you compliments, there was much more value placed upon that. And the Jordan Peterson was the one he was talking to, and Jordan Peterson said, absolutely. When everything has the same value, nothing has value. That's why this whole idea of everybody's a winner, everybody gets a trophy, everybody gets a ribbon, backfired so terribly, because if everything is equal, what's your drive to try and be anything more than everybody else? Who gives a rip? Whether I'm the fastest or the slowest, everybody gets a trophy. Whether I make a home run or I strike out every time I'm at bat, I still get a trophy. So why should I care? Why should I try? So are you willing to pay the price for your words to be valuable? I'm one of those, especially after owning a photography studio, but even before then, the photography studio allowed me an exceptional reason to walk up to people and let them know that their fly was down or that their tag was up on the back of their shirt or something like that, for, you know, anytime, anywhere. And it used to bug the out of me when there'd be a collection of friends around this person who, I'm sorry, even Ray Charles can see your fly is down. It's not like down, your pants are like opening up going, hey, look. And not one of their friends would say anything. Friends. And at a convenient time, I would just go up and go, just to let you know, I've been a photographer for a number of years, and your fly is down. Don't react to it right now. Just casually walk somewhere where you can take care of it. And, you know, they're like, what? I'm like, I'm just letting you know. And you'll see them turn around, they'll walk over and be like, and I didn't want them to have that whole reaction, you know, like, you know, where everybody's looking going, what the hell is going on over there? But there's been a number of those people that, because if they were in the same environment, they now knew, you know, I'd talk to them and I don't know who you are, but I still got your back. And it's little stuff like that. And I'm not saying that to impress you. I'm saying to impress upon you that when people understand that you're there to help them, even in the smallest way, your necklace clasp is at the bottom, or, you know, something doesn't look right. Those little things add up over time. And they're easy. 10 minutes left. Do I hit you with a heavy or with a hit you with a heavy? Like Fran's like, bring it on, yeah, we can take it. Okay, here's a quote for you, and I'm gonna let you think about it for a little bit. And listen carefully to how it's phrased. Are you cheating on your future self with your ex? I noticed a couple of heads were like, Are you cheating on your future self with your ex? Now, let me explain the rest of it. Are you still entertaining and hanging out with your old self because they're familiar and comfortable? How many people, especially New Year's Eve, I'm gonna change, this is the year, I'm gonna do everything different for a couple of days until my ex is like, no, come here, hey, what's all that workout stuff? Man, you're hurting me, right here, yeah, what's with that? You never did that before. Let's hang out some more. And I don't know if this is how my brain works. There are times, you know, thank God for my wife, because there are times that I even crack myself up. a lot. She's getting used to it finally. But I'll read it now that you've had a chance to think about it. Are you cheating on your future self with your ex? And we all know that there's many versions of us. And just like the phrase of, how many masks do you wear? Got into a serious discussion with an old friend, an old classmate about that one, and she just lost her stuff. I don't wear masks and I hate fake people and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, you don't wear masks. Okay. So you're the exact same person Saturday night at the Eagles Club as you are Sunday morning in church in front of the pastor? Yes. I'm like, no, I've seen you at the club. The idea of you talking like that in church Sunday morning? No, I ain't never seen that. I would love to, because I would videotape it. That would go straight to the internet. And then you'd be having a discussion with probably your parents and the pastor later, even though we're the same age. So again, are you cheating on your future self with your ex, with the old version of yourself, because they are familiar and comfortable? What will it take for you to finally look at that older version of yourself and decide that it's time for a divorce? Now, your future self can have some of the stuff that you liked from back then. Some. But just like we talk about in dating and relationships, stop dating the same person in a different meat suit. Stop being the exact same person in a different chapter because it's a new year. How far can you push yourself? And what kind of favors can you do for your future self? No matter how small. Which brings me to another squirrel that I heard about, was the whole concept of how many favors, how much love can you offer your future self? Even if that's your tomorrow future self. One guy that I got the concept from was, what do you do for your future self for the next morning, for tomorrow morning? Do you set up the coffee for your future self? Do you lay out clothes for your future self? So that in the morning when you wake up, you're like, oh, thank you, yesterday person. That was sweet of you. I appreciate it. Now, people that have been in and out of love or whatever for a while, think of all the things that you do for the first X amount of days, weeks, months, whatever, when you're just dating somebody. All those little love notes written on the mirror, little Post-its here and there, little surprises. I can tell some of you haven't done that for a while. I saw that look. What's wrong with doing that for yourself, for your future self? Oh, see you, Bonnie. Sorry, she already clicked off before I noticed it. But again, what kind of little things like that can you do for your future self? Just like with this leadership conference coming up, we've already purchased tickets for next year. Thank you, future self, for going. I appreciate it. Next year when we go, I'm going to go, thank you, past self, for buying these tickets, because we didn't have to worry about it for a year. Your relationship with yourself is probably the most important relationship you will ever have, because you are stuck with yourself your entire life. Just saying. And then if you look at some of the work that we do, where you can divide up yourself into every event, situation, or age, or whatever that brought you up to today on 2/22/22, Tuesday. Every event, every choice, every interpretation of what happened, every interaction with other human beings in their natural environment brought you here today at this very moment. Understanding how that series of events was important enough to bring you here, what are you going to have to do, be, become, hang around with, learn, open up opportunities to be somebody that you want to be in a year? It's very challenging, but it's all there. And that brings us to the end of the first hour, where I like to open up forum if anybody has anything that they would like to add or teach, or would like some questions answered from the group, or if there's anything in particular that you would like me to either cover, go over, or rehash that I've already done. Fran raised her hand. What do you got for us, Fran?
I don't quite know how to phrase this, but I find when I'm flowing in a session or a play group of hypnotherapists or whatever, that sometimes I have moments of what I think are inspiration. And if I follow them at the time, it feels great. It feels on the money. But afterwards, I review it and I really second guess myself. And I'd like to get past that. How do I get over second guessing myself and picking myself to pieces, please?
Very easy. Are you ready for this? Did you get the outcome you were looking for? Did the person you were working with get the change that they wanted, that they came for? If the person that you were trying to help got the change they were looking for, then you did it right. No matter how critical your conscious and your subconscious want to fight over whether it was done right or we could have done this, or we should have done that, or where the hell did that come from? Part of that is understanding that when you are conversing and interacting with a person like that, the two of you are tuned in And they, or the universe, or however you want to phrase it to help it make sense, will often pull the resources, the answer out of you. And trust me, even I have been working with people or offering advice, and all of a sudden I'll say something, and to flash back on David, you have that moment you were like, no, trying to grab those words back, and it hits the person, and they're like, ah. And you're like, oh, that worked? I mean, yes, that worked. Yes. Okay, cool. Where the hell did that come from? Doesn't matter where it came from, as long as you got the change they were looking for. Does that help? Good. Anybody else got something they would like to add, throw, question, comment? All right. More of Triple T, is that what we're going to fill it up with? See what I've got on the list here. Here's one from today's seminar. Anybody know in 2022 how long it takes to make an impression on somebody? Type it in. Type in your answers. How long does it take to make an impression on somebody in 2022? We got 7 seconds, 3 seconds. Any other guesses? Briefest of moments, 5 seconds. Okay. According to studies, NLP hypnosis here, according to sources, 6 seconds to make an impression. And that's to grab attention, make an impression, everything. But before 2020, 9 seconds. We lost 3 seconds. And part of it is these things. People are starting to forget how to interact, converse, all the above. Communication skills are becoming more and more challenging. It's much easier to text. 2022, we're down to 6 seconds. They're thinking that we may even lose a couple more seconds here pretty soon. As such, that is part of my inspiration for expounding upon boiling what you do down, because that's the attention span that we've got. Now, when the funny thing was, we know some tools that a lot of them don't. And for those of you that are watching this on YouTube that have no idea what I'm talking about, feel free to reach out. But Echo Talk, 3 Magic Questions, values and criteria elicitation, even though a good portion of those we know are done naturally, if you don't understand it, you cannot utilize them nearly as efficiently as you can randomly. I'm pretty sure that, at some point in time, somebody had to put a screw into a wall, And they looked around and they found a hammer. Went, oh, I wonder if this will work. Yes, it worked. Your hammer put a screw in the wall. Congratulations. But they didn't realize that laying over there were also nails and a screwdriver. They had the tools, but they didn't understand what they were, how to use them. And if once they did, the efficiency and the capabilities that they had were vastly improved. So even if you are not in hypnosis at all, or at least you don't think you are, communication skills are still primary to everything. I think it was last week or the week before, I asked, how many of you are in sales? Raise your hand if you're in sales. Again, raise your hand if you're in sales. A few people remember the conversation from a while back because everything is sales. Every single thing is sales. And people have been in sales since they were children. Children understand sales very well. They know their market, they know their product, even if their product is to get their way. I want some candy. That's my product. That's my outcome. Who am I going to be able to sell that idea to? Well, Dad came home in a bad mood. They ain't asking Dad. Unless I realize that if I ask Dad first, and he says no in a grumpy mood, I can go to Mom and go, Dad's in a grumpy mood and says I can't have a piece of candy. How come? I'm sad. And Mom is a cupcake pushover, and she's like, oh, honey, your daddy just had a bad day. Here, have a bowl. Sales. Am I right or am I right? Now, can you imagine if that same kid understood Echo Talk, 3 magic questions, values and criteria elicitation? Here's a funny story for you. Guess whose kids learned that? I was over at his house. His youngest asked him something, and he said, no, and don't you go asking your mom the same question either. Without batting an eye, and no sitting down to mull it over, she went straight in the kitchen and asked her mom in a completely different way and got her way. And I looked at him and he's like, I am so screwed. Like, that was impressively scary because she was like 6. I'm like, yeah, she may have been listening to Papa a little bit. You're going to have to work on that reframe game because, man, she's either going to rule the world or she's just going to simply take over the world. Just saying. And his older daughter is sweet innocence, and then you got the little one that will either be a leader or a dictator, one of the two. Both of them are extremely intelligent. Let's see, what else we got here? Okay, I got homework for you. Oh, you had a question?
Yeah, sorry.
No, don't be sorry. That's what this is for.
Can you explain selling yourself without coming across like a car salesman? Like,
Absolutely.
don't like, yeah, that's where my brain goes when I hear like, oh, you're going to sell yourself.
The difference is values and criteria, elicitation. If you have a product to sell and the person you're talking to has no need for it, don't sell it. If you have a product to sell and they're looking for something similar, but yours is not a fit, don't sell it. Refer them to somebody who has a better fit. If you do your homework properly and through values and criteria elicitation, you find out that what you have, your product, is a direct match, you don't have to sell anymore. You let them know that you have a product and they will ask you for the sale. That's why the Macy's effect was so brilliant and so honest and ethical. For those of you that weren't on the other one or missed it on the other ones, a real quick overview on the Macy's effect was simply all of the sales team at Macy's way back in the day were taught that when Mrs. Olson comes in, you ask her what she's looking for, and she says, I'm looking for a blender. And the sales associates were taught to boil down the values and criteria that she was looking for. What size? What do you want the blender made out of? Do you want the cup out of glass or stainless? Do you want 9 speeds, 12 speeds? Are you chopping ice and nuts? Are you just whipping up your favorite hot cocoa? What do you want the family size? Are you looking for a person? All the way down until they got down to the very clearest description of what she was looking for. At that point, if they did not have the model XYZ, which is the exact fit, they were informed to ask her to hold on just a sec. They would be back and they would call around to the other stores to see if anybody had the model that she needed. And then they would go back and go, okay, yes, the model that you were looking for is the model XYZ. We do not carry that one. However, I have one set aside for you down at Sears. It's about a block and a half away. They've got it waiting for you at the customer service desk. Just give them your name. And Mrs. Olson's jaw hit the ground. She's like, what? You're sending me to your competition? Well, yes, because we have determined that the exact one you're looking for is the model XYZ. We don't have that one. Rather than, well, this is the closest and this is ours and I don't want to lose a sale. Here, take this. It's not exactly what you're looking for, but it is what it is. So Mrs. Olson goes down to Sears and sure enough, waiting at the customer service desk is a model XYZ blender, which is exactly what she wanted. Even if she didn't know exactly what she was wanting when she walked into the store, the sales rep was able to help her boil down her exact needs. Now, next time she needs anything, where's she going to go? Straight to Macy's. Who is she going to tell? Anybody that will listen. And what's the best sales tactic in the world? Testimonials. Word of mouth. 1,000 times better than any ad you can ever put out on anything from anybody else, is testimonials and word of mouth. And it's the same. I teach this to car salesmen, being you brought it up, because I did car sale, used car sale. I sold used cars for a living for a while. And the owner had a little beef with me, especially the owner's wife, because I was too honest with the people that were showing up. Even back then, before I had the training, I knew to ask them, how are you going to use it? Who's going to drive it? What are you looking for? What is your budget? And I would tell them, this is the closest thing we got, but it's not what you're looking for. We don't have what you're looking for right now, but I'd be happy to take your name and number, and if I can find you something, I'll let you know. You let them walk off of the. I'm like, they were looking. Well, you could have sold them that. I'm like, but that's not what they're looking for.
Sorry, I hope I didn't offend you on that one. I had a bad
Oh,
experience.
no, zero offense. But even then,
Yeah,
without the values and criteria training, I understood it. And the part that the owner didn't catch even, I got referrals.
Yeah.
I had people showing up at the lot asking for me, because of the fact that I wasn't afraid to not sell them an exact fit that they were looking for. But does that help?
very much so. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else got any questions or stuff that I can help with, or do I pull one off of the squirrel list? I might just call this the squirrel list. Yes, homework for you. And I'm doing the same, so we can all hold each other accountable. I want all of you, including me, all of us, we're all in this together, to write up a list of 101 things to do in 1,001 days. And this is not a bucket list. This is a life list. The reason there's a deadline is because one thing I've noticed about bucket lists, these are the things I want to do before I die, and I have plenty of time, so I'll get around to it. And how many round to it's do they get to? Until, heaven forbid, they get some visit from the doctor that says, hey, we know how much time you don't have left. All of a sudden that bucket list gets a shit ton more important, but they may not have the health to knock those things down. Kind of like Tim McGraw's famous song, Live Like You Were Dying. How would you live like you were dying? So this is 101 things to do in 1,001 days. And the cool thing is, you can always add to it as you're notching things off. Get half of the list done. Do another one with another date, and keep adding to it as you think of things. And they don't have to be, riding a bull and jumping out of a plane. I mean, it could, but it can also be, like one of the things that the speaker today talked about was he wanted to take his son camping for a weekend at this park, national park, and you know, do all the camping stuff that you want to do with your kid, you know, rent a canoe, do some fishing, actually catch fish and cook them over a campfire that night, sleep in a tent. And he said it was amazing that the amount of pushback his mind was giving him on stuff. It took him 2 years to get around to it. And even the day that they were heading out, and he had everything loaded in the vehicle and had the tent and all the stuff, he found his mind was still coming up with, well, you know, but I should be doing it. Oh, you know, and the lawn needs to be mowed and da 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 da. And finally, he was just like, no, go. And he said once they got there and got set up, he couldn't believe that it took him two years to do it, because they could have already have done it 3 or 4 times. And his boy still talks about that trip, even though they've done more since then, because he got it. His boy still clearly remembers that first time when they, yes, Brent?
Can I share with you the power of the Z list? The Z list is similar sort of idea. You write a list, perhaps in the back of your diary, of all the little things that need doing, including mowing the grass, including fixing that shelf. You just write it down, and then you don't look at it again for at least a month, maybe 3 months. By the time you look at it again, just because you've written it down and it's in concrete in the world, these jobs just do themselves. You don't even have to think about them. And it's magic, really magic.
Yes. And to even add on to that further, when you look at some of those tasks that are on there and you think about what's the quickest I could accomplish that task, it's amazing. If you give yourself that much time, it'll take you that much time. But if you give yourself a year to do it, it'll take you a year. I think I covered this on one of the other triple T's was, where do we learn this? Or where have we seen it the most? School projects. Yes, you have a month to complete this school project. Oh shit, it's I have to have it done in 3 days. And you get it done in 3 days. Is it your best work? Of course not. But you waited till the very end to get it done in the shortest amount of time. And you could have done it in 3 days right away, and then taken the rest of the month to perfect it, or not to perfect it, to make it more excellent, because I hate the word perfection. Yes, Brent.
Another point with pro leaving it to the last minute. Sometimes some people, not everybody, need that adrenaline rush to get the creative juices going. And I don't know how you can actually trick yourself into that adrenaline and then polish it afterwards, because otherwise you do sometimes have that rather raw product when you're done.
Give yourself an actual deadline instead of the 1 month, which we all did. When you get the project and you go, yes, I've got a whole month. How fast could I get it done? Okay, I'm not going to give myself a whole month. I need to have it done in the quickest I could get it done would be in 3 days. So I need to have it done in 5. And you give that deadline. And for people that like rewards, figure out a reward that you get. Remember, thank your future self. Thank your past self. Well, if you were given a whole month and you made yourself get it done in 5 days, well, your future self, I mean, man, think about how much you're going to appreciate your past self for forcing you to get it done in 5 days. And if that was your significant other, how would you reward that person? I mean, you are your significant other. You're stuck with yourself for life. So, yep.
Sorry, coming up
No,
with
don't be sorry. This
on
is,
similar topic.
yes.
Creative procrastination. I have a theory, or sometimes I can make this work for me, that if I've got a job that I really, really, really hate, don't want to do, and I know I've been putting it off, but there is a deadline to do it. And if I just put that aside for the moment and do the next most horrible job, I can quite happily do the next most horrible job, get that done, and actually achieve an awful lot. And while I'm doing that second most horrible job, my unconscious mind is sorting out how to do that first horrible job, the worst horrible job. Instead of the 18 hours that I believed that first job would take, my unconscious mind finds a way to get it done in 2 hours.
Yes.
So, there is a place for using creative procrastination, and I'd love to be able to refine this more. Maybe you've got some pointers on that.
Well, I think part of it, what you pointed out, is lists. Having the stuff written down. Even myself, like I had something go pretty much horribly wrong about a week ago. And yeah, I was having pretty much a pile of feces day. But I knew that anger and all of that stuff, again, is energy. So I had a whole lot of energy. And what I did was I took a few minutes to go for a little walk to readjust and get a hold of the energy. And then I went to my list and went, like you said, what are a couple of those secondary projects that I can pour my energy into? And when I told Tina what had happened, I didn't even tell her till the next day for 2 reasons. One, I didn't want to touch that energy. I didn't want to unleash that energy. I had worn it down enough to be livable, to go to bed at night, be able to relax for the evening. And 2, I didn't want her to take my energy to sleep and worry about me. So I told her the next day, and she's like, how did I not know that you were having a day like that? And I said, because, and I'll be with you in just a bit, Elijah. Part of it was because of 2 things. One, growing up, I wasn't allowed to have hissy fits and screaming tirades and all that stuff. But 2, something that, and I had his name Wayne Dyer. Wayne, on one of his books or recordings or whatever, he he said something very profound, and it was, you can never get sad enough to make somebody happy. You can never make yourself poor enough to make somebody rich. You can never become sick enough to make somebody healthy. And I could never become angry enough or swear enough to undo what happened. And so at that point, what would it have accomplished for me? Trust me, inside my head, there was a whole, I can swear like a angry sailor better than most people think I can. I know the verbiage, I know the dialogue, but it wouldn't have changed the event. And so I chose to take that energy and go out and get something done with it. And I actually had a very productive day. Elijah, you wanted to ask or add to, please?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Fran.
Hello.
How you doing? So I was just thinking about what you said, and I really like it. I really like that idea. The what was it? Something procrastination, progressive attack. What did you call it, Fran?
Creative
Creative
procrastination.
procrastination. Yeah, it was really good. And I think if you really allow yourself to feel the feelings that you have about doing that worst, most horrible job, and you know, if you're okay with soaking in those feelings for a little while, right, then when you look at any other job, not only are you gonna have, you know, the time for your unconscious mind to do what it does, but when you look at any other job, it's going to seem relatively easy by comparison, right? And that's kind of really good leverage. The other one that kind of came to mind while you were speaking was the echo magnet. Do you remember the echo magnet? David used to teach it all the time, and then he didn't teach it as much. He just still does it sometimes, but maybe not as much. Maybe like TJ, you remember echo magnet, right? Where it's like you think about the thing that you don't want to do, and then you go, I must do this, I must do this, I must do this, I must do this, I must, and you keep building up the emotional intensity as you say it. I must do it, I must do it, I must, and really get into it. And then at some point you just let it go and rest. And then you start again from the bottom, or from being like emotionally flat, and you say, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And you build it up and build it up and you build it up emotionally, the intensity of it is, I don't want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. I don't want it. And just keep going until it reaches its absolute peak, and then let it go and just wait. And that's it. That's all you have to do is just wait. And you'd be surprised how quickly it gets done.
Yes. You're correct.
Yeah, the original, he did change the name of it, right?
Yes.
But the original technique from the book Red Gold was called the echo magnet. Yep. That's right, Lenora.
Yeah, you burn up the energy that is in the block or the wall, and it makes it a lot easier to walk through into getting it. It's what I love about this second half and having people chime in, because I honestly had forgotten about that, Elijah. Thank you for remembering that and sharing it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites, because I think all of the ones that I list as my favorites are things that you can do with yourself. You know what I mean? Not just with other people. I've always lent towards things that you can also do for yourself, because I think you know, you have to be able to help yourself as well, right?
Yep.
Didn't he also say to do that? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Didn't he also say to do that in like a little kid voice, like almost as if you're having a temper tantrum, right? There was
If it helps, as long
we're
as
talking
it
like
helps
circa
to
2005
raise
here.
the emotional intensity.
Yeah.
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 If it helps you to get into little kid bratty mode, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to. No, I don't want to do it. Like if it helps you, then do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Happy
the point
birthday,
is, you want to
Elijah.
reach that crescendo.
One
Yeah.
thing that popped in my head about that is the power of our brain when we can get into character. We had a lot of exercises like word salad and things of that nature to practice NLP and stuff like that. Even practicing echo talk, people would be stumbling over their words so much, and I would go around and I would say, first off, have an outcome. That's primary to all of this stuff that we do. Too often people have issues or have a problem figuring out a solution. And the first thing I ask them, well, what's your outcome? What's that look like? And they're like, well, you have to have an outcome for everything. Even if it's only to make somebody feel better, whatever. But the other thing that I offered them was, if you're having troubles coming up with something as yourself, be somebody else. Pick a character, even if it's a Disney character or something. As soon as your mind has the permission to not be you, the ability for stuff to flow is astounding. When doing word salad and practicing NLP and practicing echo talk, people go from, and then and for those of you that haven't taken the class and seen echo talk, there'll be a list of certain words that you have to use in a conversation or something like that. And they're looking at this list of words and they're just chopping their way through it painfully. And I go, okay, now take it, and I want you to do it in the voice of a pirate. And I want you to be a pirate standing on a street corner doing a live news broadcast about the crash that just happened on the corner. And the same person that was chopping through so painfully having such an issue is all of a sudden, I look across the street, matey. Oh, there's a car next to it and it's on flames. Oh, the crash was amazing and it flowed through and these other cars. And they're just, and they're surfing through these words like nothing.
If you're not being you, then you can't embarrass yourself, can you?
Exactly. And that's where it unlocked that holdup. And they had to go for a full 2 minutes. And before, they would get like a quarter of the way through the list in 2 minutes. And as soon as I did that reframe, some of them had gone through the list 3 times. And they would look at me, 2 minutes are up, they're like, wow, that was, I said, yes, because you didn't have to be you, and it became fun. One of the key things from today's leadership conference was making meetings fun, and the ability that what it does for the team, what it does for the environment, what it does for the people is it frees them up to have permission to say things. One of them, they just simply started calling it knock knock meetings, and the leader of the manager, whatever, was told that he had to say a knock knock joke at the beginning of every meeting, even if it was dumb. And of course, the man.
Just
Oh, go ahead, Fran.
sorry, I
Oh.
thought you were directing me. Just you're leading into the power also of the deep trance identification hypnosis, where you can actually access these thoughts and these different ways of solving problems. And I've had a lot of really useful experiences with stuff that I was completely stuck on. If I took on the deep trance identification persona, I got all this new way of looking at the problem, new solutions just automatically there. I didn't have to try or work or think. It was just there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really cool.
It kind of like when you hear the expression, well, all the answers you search for are inside of you, and you're like, whatever. If I had all the answers inside of me, I wouldn't be asking the question. I'm still trying to figure out and like you say, if you have the ability to stop being you and being somebody else, all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, where did that come from? Yeah, it was there. You were stuck with your ex who had put you in a box. And as soon as your ex didn't see you around, you were able to be somebody else who could be outside of the box and figure shit out.
Can you imagine the freedom of doing that every morning when you wake up and thinking, who will I be today?
Oh, yeah.
And before anyone goes there, that's not to say that you have a multiple split personality disorder. Because already, like TJ said earlier, you are different with your best friend than you would be if you were with your mum. And you're different with your mum than you would be if you were talking to a 4-year-old. And you're different with the 4-year-old than you would be if you were addressing someone in a job interview, right? So you already have that capability to be different people as and when needed. So just play with it.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean you're being fake.
No.
That's the point I'm trying to get to. People think like, oh, it means I'm being fake, but it's not true. You're exercising, instead of like a bodily exercise, physical exercise, it's a mental exercise. It's an emotional exercise, stretching your range. That's all.
Francine had
Yes, when I lived in Ireland, I used to work in the call center, and often people used to say, "Oh, can I speak to your manager, please?" And then I said, "Yeah, of course, I'll call her. Lolita, can you come, please? Hello, this is Lolita. How can I help you today?" And that used to snap everyone out of their bad mood. Yeah, she was very bubbly and speaking like this, like my mom. Not probably blushing, but yeah, it worked. Yeah, I never needed to call a manager because I was my own manager.
Yes, and you had that in you the whole time. And I actually kind of like her. She's kind of fun. You should bring her out every now.
She's very serious, but so bubbly. Yeah.
Yes. Fran, you had something you were going to add? Oh, and that's where another, Dr. David kept saying that people should take a method acting class. I am
most fun I ever had.
Huh?
The most fun I ever had. Acting classes.
Yes, I've 110, 12,000% endorse it. Because what it does is it lets you step out of who you are to try on a different mask, a completely different mask. And some people are like, oh my God, well, what if I get judged? What if I do it dumb? Okay, then do it as a person who's being judged and being dumb. Try that one on for size. You know, you look at some of. Have any of you ever watched a show or a movie and went, I grew up with a guy just like that? Well, yeah, because there's somebody else. You could have just as well been on there if you would let yourself go. Or, you know, one of the ways that I teach clients that words that were said to them are not what have the power. Words are just words. It's the power that you record them in and the power that you give them, just like the saying, it's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it. The words, they don't carry the power. You record what they came with. For those, I see somebody's, is there anybody here that has not heard me talk about this? I've got it on one of the other recordings, but a lot of people, like, they were traumatized by, you know, somebody that said something viciously mean to them. I'm like, okay, that happened to you one time, you recorded it, you put meaning to it. Remember, nothing means nothing until we give it a label. So you labeled it, you recorded it, and then you reacted to it, and you've been reacting to it ever since. And so I'll go, okay, I want you to go back to that event, and I want you to play the recording exactly the way you recorded it, with the energy, the volume, the voice, everything that you recorded that person saying to you. I'm like, well, I said, you're safe. You've already went through it. You survived it. There's nothing back there that you are not stronger than. So go ahead and tell me what they said. You're just really stupid and I can't stand to be around you. I'm like, that's how they said it to you? You're just really stupid. I can't stand to be around you. Well, no. Well, did they say it a little louder? Did they say it a little meaner? Well, yeah. Okay, I want you to say it exactly. I want you to reproduce the recording that you made as close as you can. And I'm using a very clean, moderate, because some of the stuff that I've had clients say was viciously mean. And especially in the case of divorces or something like that, some of the stuff that was said to them was viciously attackingly mean. But so I'll have them say it, and I'll build them up until they are saying it exactly the way they recorded it. Yelling, screaming, using those words. And I'm like, okay, good. So with your eyes closed now, when you see those words out there that were said, what color is the energy that's inside of them? Black, sludge green, sewer brown. Okay. Now I want you to say the exact same words using the voice of Goofy from Disney. They're like, what? I want you to say the exact same words using Goofy's voice from Disney. And they'll be like, I don't like, they're like, and they'll try and they'll start cracking up and they're like, you're just stupid. I can't stand to be around you. And they'll crack up and I'm like, oh, wow. And you were laughing when you said it that time. What color was the energy inside of that? Blue? I'm like, yeah, blue. Now I want you to say it in Mickey Mouse's voice. I'm like, what? Say it in Mickey Mouse's voice. I can't stand to be around you. You're stupid. They'll crack up. I go, okay, what color was the energy in that voice? Like, green. Okay, now do it in Minnie Mouse's voice. I don't know how to do Minnie. I'm like real high and squeaky. You're stupid. I can't stand to be around you. And they'll crack up again. I go, what color was the energy in that? Pink. I said, wow. The same words had black, had blue, had green, had pink energy in them. It's not the words. It's the energy that was recorded inside of the words. And we've proven that our memories, our recordings, are not even accurate. You've seen the tests, the experiments where they'll have 10 different people see an accident. They'll separate them all. They'll ask them, okay, what did you see? All 10 stories, I'll be with you in just a minute, Fran. All 10 of their stories will be different. 10 years later, they'll ask the exact same people to re-describe what they saw that day. Their stories don't even match their stories from 10 years prior. So if our memories aren't accurate because we re-edit them every time we bring them up, why not just go back and re-edit those words and give them green energy or pink or blue? You've already survived it. It wasn't the words that hurt you. It was the recording that you made. And Fran, you had something to put in before I...
Yeah, on that same topic, I get that about the words, that's great. But if the person that said it to you is somebody that, you know, it magnifies the impact of those angry words, how do you deal with that bit of it? You know, your mother who you trusted desperately suddenly said something really awful to you, and it's devastating. And it's not the words, it's just that thought and that energy came out of that person.
Elijah?
Hi, Fran. Again. You know, Fran, as their therapist or coach or whatever, that it's in their head, right? That the mother isn't really a monster or a saint, you know, either way. And so there's this line that I learned once from Anthony Jacquin, right? And it's like a standalone line. It pretty much never changes, and you can use it to burst people's problems. It goes something like this. You know, I hear what you're saying. Clearly, at some point, something happened, and you imagined something. But then your response to that became automatic. Now you remember it was just your imagination. You could stop imagining that, couldn't you? You could imagine something completely different, right? And that's based, like, as a standalone, that's the line. And it happens pretty much the same way. You might have to finesse the very beginning just to make it fit into whatever you're saying. But if someone's like, oh, I can't say those words now because it was my mother who said it, and I can't believe this. Hold on a minute. I understand what you're saying. I think I understand. Clearly, at some point, something happened. And you imagined something, and your response to that became automatic. But now you remember it was just your imagination. You could imagine something, you know, and you just deliver the line. And I've been in bars and restaurants, and as people start talking, and I've said that line, and it just bursts the problem. It's pretty special. Feel free to try it, steal it, use it, share it, tell everyone about it. If you want to give credit to the source, it came from Anthony Jacquin. Yeah, very useful. It's just kind of brings them out.
Brilliant. Thank you, Elijah. That's really valuable. Wow.
Fran, I want to piggyback off of what Elijah said, which was fantastic. Brent Baum has one where it kind of just piecemealed together with what Elijah was saying, was if it's just your imagination or however you want to convey that, what would you like to have seen happen instead? And imagining that, and then you could even double and triple at the speed of light, that image and that color and that energy of what you would have liked to seen happen instead, whether it's understanding, whether it's resolve, whether it's whatever you needed in that moment, but you can piecemeal it together from that also might be another add-on to that approach.
Sorry, what was the person's name?
Brent Baum, he's the color breathing.
Right, thank you.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
I've got two others that I do with that as well. One is three-chair therapy. Are you familiar with that, Fran? I went over that earlier.
I think so, but go through it again, please.
Three-chair, you take them into, I like to take them into what I call the hologram deck. And I set out three chairs, two of them facing each other and one off to the side. Chair 1 and 2 are facing each other. 3 is off to the side. And I first have them sit in chair 1. And in this instance, their mom, whoever, it can be, you can do it for people who didn't get closure from people passing away. You can do it for conflict. You can do it for all sorts of stuff. But in this case, with the conflict, first the person sits in chair 1, and using this instance, mom sits in chair 2. Person in chair 1 gets to tell mom everything that they thought about that situation. You know, mom, what was with that? How could you even say something like that to me? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no holds barred. This is a safe place. You can tell them whatever. They get done. They've exhausted, a lot of times they're crying, whatever. And I go, okay, cool. Now I'm going to rewind the tape to just before you started. But I want you to get up, and I'm going to have you sit in mom, not in mom's seat, but you will become mom. And I want you to hear what you said to mom as mom. Okay, now I'm going to play the tape now. And now, mom, I want you to reply to your daughter. And so the client as mom has a rebuttal to the daughter. And they are amazed at what comes out of their mouth. I'm like, no, you recorded all the energies. You recorded way more than you thought you did. And then, depending on what the responses were, what was there, I may have them bounce back between chair 1 and chair 2 a couple of times. And then I will make them sit in chair 3 and rewind the entire tape and have them as the observer watch the whole transaction go, and I'll ask them, so as the observer, what'd you notice? And it's three complete different perspectives. And I've had people come out of that thing just going, holy cow, all these years I had recorded it that, and I had no idea what my mom was going through, or, you know, one of them was like, I had no idea that her friend had passed away. I didn't even know about her friend, and she called her mom up, and her mom goes, how did you know about that? Well, I did this thing. Yeah, so there's more recorded than we can, there's more recorded than we can actually comprehend. The other one is the simple story of cutting the ends off the ham. Do you know that one? Yeah. Great grandma, why'd you cut the ends off the ham? Because it didn't fit in the pan I had. Yeah, well, we just followed what grandma was doing. We didn't know any better. And then, of course, the other is the simple NLP, you know, have you ever had a shit day where you lashed out at somebody and said something that wasn't really your style? You think there's a possibility your mom was just having a shit day? Well, yeah, but no, but you said yeah first. So you've had those days. How would you have done it different if you were having a shit day? Well, I'd have done this. Okay, so when you were having that shit day and you said that to somebody, is that how you handled it? Well, no. So there's a couple of different approaches to it. And that brings us 5 after 8. My normal shutdown time to keep these. I want to respect your guys' time, but I do want to thank you so much for being part of Triple T and bringing it to life and giving me a reason, a proper reason to do this, and allowing us to record this so that other people have access to it. That especially, I love this part where, you know, you guys add to it more. I don't know if you understand how much you add to this, and I appreciate that. That's why I do it. So with that, I'm going to shut this down so we can keep the recording within my preset guidelines. A little message for those of you who weren't on tonight and would like to join us. My intention is to do this every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Central, as long as I'm available to do it. And if you would like more information on the stuff that you've heard about or seen on here, feel free to reach out. Pretty easy to contact. You can go to my website at thetswb.com. That's right, the tall, skinny white boy.com. Send me an email at tj@thetswb.com. And also feel free to reach out to these amazing people. There is so much talent on this recording here that it just astounds me. I'm humbled and quite impressed. Love you all. Have a good night. See you on the next run. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thank you.